So this is the AS Media regional magazine treatment, and basically in this treatment we're going to be looking at a couple of different processes throughout the development of my magazine. We're going to be looking at the likes of magazine concept, we're going to be looking at masthead designs, and we're basically going to have a look at the final outcome, final plan that I've got for my magazine. And we start off with my magazine concept. Now, first of all, we've got to know what the magazine is all about before we even start making it. And for me, there are three ideological ways that I'm going to look at this. And as you can see on the screen right now, we have the listings magazine for Sheffield. That's specifically what the magazine is directly about, straight from the start. Then it's all about what's going to be inside the magazine, and inside the magazine it's all going to be about highlighting gigs, clubs and pubs in the area. This is a magazine that is advertising, it's not just advertising, but it is it's advertising and giving off information about the area in general. That is what this magazine is all about. It's all about talking about Sheffield as a whole, the music acts of Sheffield, different buildings in Sheffield. And of course, then it's all about bringing the adverts into it. And the adverts are there to accommodate to a wide audience. Obviously, it's been accommodated to my target audience, which is wide, of about the age of 18 to 40. And that is where the highlighting of gigs, clubs and pubs does come into consideration. We've got this little example here of an advert that is from a magazine like Expose. That's similar style of what I want. Then it's all about the target demographic. As I said before, the main audience demographic that I have is for 18 to 40 year olds. These are the type of people that you expect to go to clubs, pubs and nightclubs. These are people that you would expect to be experiencing the nightlife of Sheffield. And as I said before, this is a magazine that is mainstream. Is mainstream audience. It isn't directly targeted at one specific set of people. It is open to all, not all ages, but it's open to all of the social class groups that you would expect out there. And then the audience profile, as you can see there, you're expecting the party type people that are always experiencing, nightclubs and pubs. They're going out all the time. They're going to clubs at least usually once a week. And these are the types of people that we want to vacate the magazine towards, and that's because they're going to be going into clubs. There's going to be a large amount of people, for example, in a nightclub, and that's where you can get the most out of people in terms of getting them to read the magazine. And then the next part is all about the frequency, cost and distribution. Now, the frequency of the magazine is monthly, and the reason why I've chosen it to be monthly is because, for example, if it was to be a weekly magazine, there isn't enough time between, let's say, week 1 and week 2. There isn't enough time in that week for new gigs and events to occur. While with a monthly magazine, you've got enough time, obviously, in a month for gigs and events to be announced, which allows more content for the magazine. The cost of the magazine as well is free. Now, through my research, some regional magazines do sometimes cost a small price, sometimes £1, sometimes £2, but I've chosen my magazine to be free, and this is purely down to the fact that this allows a much larger audience to be able to access the magazine rather than having to pay for it. And finally, the distribution of the magazine. I'm looking to have it accessible in a wide range of locations, mainly that of transportation, which would include train stations and buses. Once again, you're looking at how you can associate the magazine with the demographic audience and the types of places that they usually go to. And obviously, transportation is quite important for the demographic of 18 to 40 year olds. You expect them to be getting transportation every day, whether that be the bus or the train, and therefore it's the best idea to distribute it to that location, because that there's a chance that they're going to pick the magazine up. So the next topic is all about the contents of the regional magazine. This is what I want inside. Now, the front cover, I want it to be exciting in style. It needs to look exciting, but not too over the top. It needs to be something that grabs the viewer, the viewer's eyes, but isn't too creative in a sense of it's too bright with colours, it's too vivid. It needs to be kept simple but exciting at the same time. The taglines I also want specifically aimed at the audience, so you wouldn't be looking at, for example, the example I've got the side there of exposed. You want it to be something that the audience can relate to, whether that be a musician, whether that be a building. It needs to be something that the target audience can relate to, in something that they like or a place that they go. And obviously for the aim of my magazine, I want it to be not just a place that they go, but I want to try and bring in somehow a picture of somebody that they might be able to recognise, bringing two ideas together to make a exciting front cover that isn't too over the top. And for the adverts, we've got an example here. It's very similar as the front cover. You need it to basically be targeted. It needs to be for the target audience. So in the example that I've got here, as you can see, I apologise, move it back. As you can see in the example, it's kept very simple. It's kept clean. There's no use of lots of colours. There's, for example, they could have used yellow, red, blue, black. Could have used all the colours in one. They kept it nice and simple and nice and clean. It targets its audience because it's about cocktail masterclass, and that's exactly what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a simple but stylish advertisement that is, it could be advertising a pub. It could be advertising a cinema, for example. I'm looking at using locations like pubs or cinemas that you'd expect the 18 to 40-year-old audience to go to as part of my advertisements for my magazine. We then get on to the next subject, and I want to look at my masthead designs. So for my masthead designs, there's been a lot of work that has gone into developing the mastheads to the highest extent possible. We start off at the left hand side with the original designs. As you can see, there's a clear use of boxes, which I've put there, a heavy theme throughout my masthead designs. And you can see that I've split it down into two. You've got the boxes as a whole, and you've got the boxes split up into two. And throughout the development process, I've developed it and changed it into different ways to see how it would work. This is the original design that I had, which I learned that there was too much space in between the mastheads. So then I developed it to make the boxes smaller, which that idea has obviously been worked on with different colours and different ways of trying to integrate a little bit more of a clarity to my design rather than keeping it simple and straight to the point. But what I've learned throughout this is that it might be much easier to keep plain and simple than it is to try and go over the top with exciting colours. Finally, I want to look at the images that I want to use in my magazine, and for the front cover, I'm looking to involve the use of nightlife. Obviously, as I've said before, nightlife is incredibly important to that audience of 18 to 40, so using places like the Crucible or the Lead Mill, for example, two places that are well known for their nightlife, whether that being, for the shows that are at the Crucible or for the drinks and entertainment of the Lead Mill. They are places that 18 to 40-year-olds would expect to be going to quite a lot. And another thing that I want to do is I want to implement the use of Halloween. I would like my magazine to be based around October, so that allows not just a wide range of editing skills to be involved in certain photos, but it also means I can use a variation of colours and fonts and designs to just make the magazine look a bit more exciting than, let's say, going for a magazine in June where it's all about summertime. And yes, you can use different font styles then, but when you kind of implement the theme of Halloween as well, it just makes it feel more exciting overall. So that is the treatment of my magazine. Hopefully it's been informative and useful, and it should give you an idea of the design of the magazine that I'm about to create for my project.